Hey guys, tonight I am in the shop. I have some Etsy orders. I've never gone live before, so I figured I'd try it. Got some Etsy orders, so we're gonna cut some signs on the Shapeoko tonight. I've cut one. Take you over and show you that. One of the biggest orders I get. Of course, it's backwards to you, because I'm using the front-facing camera. Biggest orders I get is this North Carolina home sign. There you go, that's right for you. So I do that out of plywood, and what I do is I buy a 1/4-inch plywood at Lowe's, the 2x4 sheets, and I cut it in half. That way it'll fit on the Shapeoko. You can see over here, this is the Shapeoko. I cut it in half. What's up, Dylan? It's my first ever YouTube live. So I cut it in half, and then over here I have the clamps. I'll bring in, let's see if I can switch this around. Yeah, so I have the Oops clamps by the Real Suck It Dust Boot, and I built my own extra wasteboard. This is just screwed down to the wasteboard that comes with the Shapeoko. So I have my wasteboard with all the holes. You can see all the holes. I just kind of lay it down, and I use the holes as a guide for straightness. But since this is cut out in a sideways motion, it doesn't really matter how straight it is. We just want to make sure we're within the bounds. So I got that on there. I get out the touch probe I have. Of course, in my video, I used one of them. I have a touch probe. One of them I don't. So I got the touch probe out, and I ran the probing method. So it found the corner of this. And if you use the touch probe, make sure that every time you're clipping this to your bit, or you'll screw something up. So, and I'm just storing that over there for now. So we're zeroed down here in the corner. And that's what everything is looking like right now. We're ready to go ahead and run it. I am using a 1/8 inch compression bit, and we are on speed 3 up here. So let me take you over to the computer. Thanks, guys. I'm glad the videos has helped. So as you can see, my computer is pretty far away. I run a long USB, and if you don't have one of these, this remote, you can remotely use this to move this around and center. This is a lifesaver, especially if your computer's far away like mine. So we got the Shapeoko going over here. Carbide's up on my computer. Excuse the moving around. The remote, I might just do a really quick 1-minute video on that remote. I have a link in some of my videos to the remote. But Dylan, if you find me, send me a message, and I will send you a link to that remote. It's like 12 bucks on Amazon, I think. So here's Carbide Create. You can see the file that I created. Home. There's my piece of wood. You can see that I have 3 different tool paths over here on the side. 1, 2, 3. So what I do I don't use any tabs on these. Hey Ron, how's it going? I don't use tabs on this cutout because I really don't want to deal with them. So the first thing I do is I highlight these little ones inside here. This here, the inside of the heart, the inside of the E. We'll cut those out first because they'll get sucked up into the vacuum. And then the next ones, if I hold it over, you can see we're cutting out the inside ones again. The bigger size parts. We haven't cut out the outside yet. We'll cut those out next. That'll be a single tool path. And then the final cut will be the outside cut. And once I make that outside cut, this piece will move around because I don't have tabs. But we won't need them, and we won't have to clean up, so it's pretty nice. So I saved that down here with the G code. I saved it. I come back over to Carbide Motion. You can see I've gotten to the point where I've probed. We're going to hit done here at the bottom. So I've finished. Our zeros are all set. You set zeros. You can see they're offset right now. If you can see that, it's offset to where it's moved off. I use tabs as little as I can get by with because they are a pain to remove. You can go with no tabs, that's great. If you're starting off, definitely want to use tabs because if you don't do it right, you can really screw things up. So we're going to hit done down at the bottom. I've loaded my file. It's called 1NC. You can see right there, 1NC. So we'll go up to run, and we're ready to hit start, but I've got to go back over to the CNC. And again, this is my first YouTube live, so forgive me if the cameras aren't set up all correctly. I'm just using my iPhone on a tripod, and it's hard to get everything in place. But I am now going to hook up the socket dust boot. That's this job right here. You can see I have like a little extra acrylic sides on the side that holds this dust boot. All it does is it's got a slit down the center so you can have your bit already in there. And you just slide. Oop. I'm going to move this side down. You get the left and the right side correct. I have this extra add-on right here because that is part of my laser. So you might not have that, but part of the laser. So you pop that in and you lower it to where the bristles are just barely touching your piece of wood. So that's about here. The bristles are going to hit my clamps, but these OOPS clamps are so low profile that I'm not worried about it. That's why I really like these clamps. They're my favorite. If you go ahead and order a socket dust boot, I'd say grab the clamps while you can. Get it all in one shot. They're fantastic. So my boot's on. Now I'm going to show you down here. You know that the CNC is already super loud. It's just the way it is. The router is loud. I have a shop vac, but I have that separate for all the machines in the shop, all the other machines. So what I like to use down here is this Fine Turbo 1 vacuum. It is basically on par with Festool, and it is, I think, 60 decibels or less. And that is fantastic for a vacuum. So that decreases the volume of sound in the shop. So if that's something for you, look at this vacuum. If I can go back and edit, I'll put a link in the description. It's pricey, but it's well worth it, and it's HEPA rated too. So anyways, it's got the smaller diameter hose, so I 3D printed a little adapter on the end that'll fit on the dust boot. And I could probably link that in below too, because it's on Thingiverse. It's really easy if you have a 3D printer. You could also, if you wanted to, go ahead and cut a little adapter in here, because this is made for a bigger size hose than I have. But there we go. We're going to go ahead and just pop it on here. That's my hose collection. Typically I have this hanging from the ceiling. I don't have it right now. Usually I hang it from like a bungee cord. You can see there's a bungee cord in the back, but it's too far back. It's just kind of hanging there. It's because tomorrow I'm getting a package from Socket Dust Boot with a little surprise. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, make sure to find me at Myers Woodshop, and you'll see that little surprise. It's an upcoming product. Check it out, and it'll be pretty awesome. I'll probably do a YouTube video on it, though. But Instagram, you'll find me faster. At Myers Woodshop. So we got the hose on there. I am going to put on my headphones. I don't know if this is going to be really loud for you. I apologize. Turn the volume down if you're listening. At this point, I'm going to hit the power on here. I'm going to go over to the vacuum, turn the power on. That's loud, I'm sorry. I'm going to go over. I'm going to put you over so you can watch this. And I'm going to go over and hit start. You can watch it cut. Might be boring, it might not. I'll be right back. 1 second, guys. Here we go. These pieces are cut out, no tabs, right here. And just pull them out, it's really nice. When this is done cutting, I'll answer that feed and speed question. 'Cause I'm not sure you can hear me. All right, guys, there we go. It's cut out. Sorry if that was loud. You can see no tabs. We could just pop in, pop the pieces out. That's the importance of going from the little pieces out. I don't understand what happened here. A little drag of something. I don't know if it caught a piece of wood or something. That's okay. So we just pop that out. Just lifts right out, and that's what it looks like. Really nice. So you got any questions? Fire them at me, because I was just going live to show this off. Show off what I do. Feeds and speeds. That was one thing. This is a, it's a 1/8 bit. The shaft is a 1/4 inch. The bit is a 1/8 bit. This is a 1/4 inch plywood, really thin. So it's made to cut all the way through. Compression bit cuts everything in one pass. So normally if you're going to use a downcut bit or an upcut bit, you're doing multiple passes and around. Compression bit is made to cut it all. 1/4 inch is pretty thin, so we can do that pretty easily. I run this speed 3 on the router, on the DeWalt router, and the inches per minute is 40, and the depth per pass is whatever the depth, the full depth of the material you're cutting. You could go, if you went up, this is an 1/8 inch compression bit. Of course, if you moved up to a 1/4 inch compression bit, you can bump that feed up faster. 60 would probably be pretty good through a 1/4 inch material. The thicker you go in material, of course, you need to slow it down a little bit, or not go all the way full pass. Maybe you want to do 2 passes with a compression bit. So the bigger the bit, the faster, the more IPMs you can push, because it just tears through material. 1/8 inch is getting pretty small. Middle of the range, getting smaller. 40 inches per minute. Typically, I think you can push it faster than you think you could. If you're using Carbide Create, those are super conservative settings. So really, it's get a test piece of material and do the same cut over and over and over, and use the same bit, and just kind of push push the bit till you think it might break or have an extra, or it's at the end of its life, and push the bit and see where it's going to go. It's a slow, tedious process, but that's really how you're going to get the feeling of those feeds and speeds, is just using the machine. People like me can help you get maybe a starting point. There is a website that will assist you in finding feeds and speeds. When I remember it, I'll put it in the description below, because right now I can't remember. I think it might be a paid website where you put in what you have, and they'll come back. It's kind of like a formula. They'll come back with the optimal feeds and speed. If you are on Instagram and you follow Tools Today, they're an exclusive Amana tool bit seller. Shoot them a message and say, hey, I got this machine, I'm running this material, and they will come back with a pretty reasonable inch per minute. That wasn't actually an Amana bit. That's almost all I use, but this is something that was sent to me from Bits and Bits Company. They're on Instagram at Bits. They didn't pay me to use it. They just said, hey, can I send you some bits and see if you like them? Let people know what you think. I really like this bit. Now, at the time, Amana tool and Tools Today did not make an 1/8 inch compression bit with a 1/4 inch shank, which if you have the DeWalt or the Makita, they come with a 1/4 inch cullet, with the part where you slip the bit into. So Bits and Bits does make that, and he sent me it, and I love it. It's been performing really well. You can see, like, I don't even need to sand this. Very, very, very fine, but it's one pass with 220. We'll take off those little teeny things, but from like about here, you don't even see it. Comes out flawlessly. So Bits and Bits, I don't have that in front of me. Bits and Bits online, 1/8 inch compression bit, if you're gonna go a Manitool, which generally I would if I'm gonna spend the money, they are coming out with one, I believe, this month with a 1/4 inch shank with an eighth inch compression bit. They do have the 1/8 inch compression bit with the 1/8 inch shank. You just got to use an adapter. I ended up buying. Well, first I bought like a spring cullet for that. It's just a cylinder that has a slit down the side, and it'll fit, the 1/8 inch shaft will fit into that cullet, and then it'll fit up in there. But they wear out, and they wear out really fast, and it ended up grabbing the bit so tight that I couldn't remove it pulling on both ends with pliers. So I don't recommend going that spring bit. If you're gonna get into different size bits with different shanks, I guess, if you're not gonna stick with 1/4, which if you can, I would, buy the cullet that is a 1/8 inch bit. I think Shapeoko Carbide 3D sells that. It's a little bit more pricey. There are 1 or 2 other sellers that sell it on online, but I don't remember who I bought it from at the time. So if you got any more questions, shoot them to me. I got a few minutes here. So these are one of my hot sellers on Etsy. So I cut this thing a million times, and it's kind of the way it is now for me. What else can I show you? Oh, I started out with a T-track. Shapeoko has this T-track. If you can see the tracks back here. I ended up taking those out because they were kind of spaced out irregular. And if you're working with small stuff, you just couldn't reach the clamps in, I guess. So I ended up going with this hold pattern underneath. Let me take it off so you can see. It'll focus a little closer. Let me pull it up here. Maybe you'll be able to see it a little better. Yeah. So again, these are the Oops clamps from Suck It Dust Boot. What I really like about these, of course, they're super low profile. They're really cheap if you screw something up. Bolts it down. But on the tip here, right here, these are removable, and if you let's see, here's the bit coming around, and you nip this. This is a 3D printed plastic, so if you nip it, it does nothing to your bit. You don't want to hit that metal in there, but if you nip the edges of these, then you're good, and they'll send you some extra parts of these so you can replace these. So James Mulvaney, you're across town? Are you in Searcy? That's amazing. Oh, you can see a 16th inch bit caught me here. I reached under to move something, not while it was running, just reach under, and I lifted my hand up too much and sliced my hand. So anyways, these are adjustable. They slide up and down. They have the hole in the center that will go down and screw into your board. And then what you do is, if you have something really thick, you'll put a counter bolt this way, so that'll keep your, let's see if I can explain it better. That'll keep your clamp straight instead of leaning really far, which is what you want. You want it pretty straight. Of course, 1/8 inch is so small. Oh, yes, I remember. I think I sent you a message back through email. So, yeah, man. Instead of watching on here, you can come right over and be part of this. Let me take these all off. So you can see what my board looks like underneath. So there we go. That's what my board looks like, the grid. And you can see I've cut into it because I went too deep, which is completely fine. I'm gonna switch this around. One thing that I really had to learn it, just get through my brain, I guess, when you get a brand new tool, especially when it's $2,000, essentially, is you don't want to take that bit and just right down in there, because it's, you know, it's perfect, it's brand new, and get over that, because you're gonna cut into it. That's why it's called a wasteboard. Once I got over that, I started doing a lot better on the CNC. So down here, you'll see that there is a lot of holes in here, and I have some threaded inserts that come up from underneath to where I can stick the bolt to any of the clamps, and they just thread in like so. So that's, I think for me, that's the way to go. I really like it. I like it a lot better than the T-Track that Shapeoko had. So that's something I really like. If you're interested in this file, I have it on my blog, www.myerswoodshop.com/blog. On the side, there's going to be a files. Click on the files. I only have one, and it is the hole pattern for Carbide Create for this wasteboard hole deal. So if you want that, it's on there. If you want the hardware, send me an email or message. Get a contact through me somehow, and I'll send you the links for the hardware I bought. I have them all. They're all on Amazon. And if I can remember, I'll put them in the description down here at some later time. I have no idea how to see the comments on my phone. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I've got to go back. They weren't... This is the first time I've done a live, so... How many oops clamps do I have? I have the 4. Take it off. So you saw them up close, but they come in a I think they come in a package of 4. And you can see there is a shorter one and a longer one. And then they send 2 extra tips for replacement, which I haven't hit them yet, so that's nice. And I only have these 4. But you can see that what I cut usually is 24 by 24. That's where my signs start, my state signs. And I've only needed 4. I could see where you probably want 8 would be really comfortable. I think it's probably just a package of 2. Because at some point, of course, you're going to go to Lowe's and the plywood is going to look like this. and that's not good. It's okay if you're going to carve all the way through stuff. But if you're going to engrave anything with like a V-bit or anything, if some parts are higher and lower, that engraving bit is not going to get into some, or it'll get too deep into others. So you can use the clamps to kind of flatten out the waviness. So if you're going to work with something big and you only have 4 clamps for each of the corners and you got waves in the center, that's where I'd probably put an oops clamp. But 24 by 24 we're pretty good. So let me go back and read what we got. Peter bought and using an Amana Spectra Extreme spiral plunge, 1/4 inch by 1/8 inch by 1/2 inch by 1/4 inch strength shank, 2 inch long cut, 2 inch long down cut on Amazon. And let's break into my bits and I'll show you what I got here. I preference this. I usually have a drawer under here, but recently I kind of redid the shop and I put the Shapeoko on a table, and I'm going to put that video out hopefully by the end of next week. So if you want a super, super easy, non-technical, even a non-woodworker could make this table, that's the video I'm shooting for. It is not a torsion box. It is not beautiful shop furniture. This is, hey, I have a Shapeoko, I need to put it on a table. Anyways, I usually have a drawer underneath. The drawer is gone. I haven't installed that because I didn't want to put that in the video. I don't know if I should or not. Let me know if I should. I am going to put one on it. I just don't know if I'm going to put it in the video. Anyways, so everything right now is just kind of stuck in this Festool box. But, oh, there's stuff I forget. So part of those oops clamps, there we go. This is the tip. You can see it's really white in here. That's the extra tips they send. So they just slide in and out off the end of the oops clamp. And then they sell these, or I guess part of the oops clamp is these clips. Where'd my clamp go? Lost my clamp. So they're threaded. If you got a different threaded table of some sort, these go through here. And they can bolt onto a bolt. They're threaded in there. So that's part of those oops clamps I mentioned to you. These are the threaded inserts on the bottom of my table. 1/4" 20 T-nuts. So that's what it looks like. These are under the table. So if I cut down in my wasteboard, I'm not cutting into these. You could do it this way, but if you miss, you're hitting the metal. So no, come up from underneath. It's an underneath deal. They just get hammered in. So that's what all those holes are filled with. I have a bunch of extra. I'll bring you into the bits here. And if you want to know anything, have any questions, feel free to hit me up. I'm gonna get through them. These are back from when I have the X-Card. I bought all their X-Card bits. I got a bunch of those. These are some Chinese V-bits when I first started out. And then you're hitting all the Amana tools. 1/8" compression bit. The one that comes with a Shapeoko. Still in good use. Downcut. 1/4" downcut. I think that might be the one you have. Or you had the 1/8". These are the Bits and Bits company. That's what I was using. This is the ball nose. Oh, here you go. This is the bit I used today. 425-CM125 from Bits and Bits. Really good bit. So we have Eagle America 30" or 30° engraving bit. So yeah. You'll eventually end up with all of these. A lot of these are repeats. These are the bad boys. That is the 60° from Tools Today, Amana tool, and this is the 90° engraving insert. Haven't used these two yet, but I will. Spoil board. If you don't have one of these, very useful. So that's what we got going on in there. Let me catch up with these comments. Where do I get the threaded inserts for the board? Amazon. Dylan, send me an email or instant message or I'll send you all the stuff, all the files, all the links to them. I apparently really need to do a YouTube video on where they are. Tim, the bit I used is an 1/8" compression bit. Compression bit is made to go through all the material at one time. You're not plunging down and plunging down and plunging down with each pass. You're going all the way down and cutting it all out in one shot. The tip is a upcut and the shaft is a downcut. It's more used for thicker material, but I use it because I can cut through everything and it'll leave a smooth finish on the bottom and a smooth finish on the top. A downcut bit will leave a smooth finish on the top and a ugly finish on the bottom, and an upcut bit will leave a ugly finish on the top and a smooth finish on the bottom. I have a blog post about that, what's best to use and what, myerswoodshop.com/blog. I'll have a link to all the bits I like and use, and then what each one of them do. So check that out. And let's see. Cole's got an 1/8 inch collet from X-Carve. So X-Carve sells that collet too. Shapeoko does, and then a few other people. Feeds and speeds. 25-day lead time for the dust boot. Ron, it does take a long time. They are out of Canada. I can tell you they are a husband and wife team, and he has a shed full of printers, and he's getting a lot of orders. He is a fantastic man. The whole family is wonderful. It just takes a long time to get it, but it is well worth it. You can see I have it back there. Of course, gentleman who makes a different kind. What? Off-access slabs. Here's one I have. He sent me one to try out. It's got longer bristles, but Suckit also offers those. You want the shorter bristles that as possible that you can get away with. One good thing is, I first started out, I bought these Rockler clamps, but they stick out and they're metal, so if you hit these, ooh, bad, bad, bad. But if you have your clamps and they're really big, the longer bristles can go right over them and you don't have to worry about it, but you still get suction. So that's why you want longer bristles if you have bigger clamps or things in the way. I don't have that, and I try to avoid it at all possible, so you want to get inch bristles. That's what comes with the Suckit default. That works fine, especially if you use their Oops clamps. So this is the Off-Access Labs dust boot. It comes in 2 parts. They come apart. This one actually goes onto the router itself. This one's made for the DeWalt. They make a Makita one too. So that goes onto the router, and then you tighten it. Well, if you're looking at it from this way, you'll tighten it from here, and the front part comes off if you want to change anything inside, and then it'll go onto itself like this, and you screw these down, and then it becomes the boot. And this one rides as the DeWalt goes up and down, or your Makita, it'll ride up and down, as opposed to the Suckit dust boot. That does not, because it has these 2 add-on feet that hold it into place. You raise and lower it up to the height you want it at, and it'll stay at that height. I believe that's a far superior way to do it, because this one will go up and down. How do you probe when this is in the way? You have to take the entire thing off and then put this back on. And by doing that, you could push something, the gantries or the bits, out of whack, even by a millimeter. And of course, when you're V-carving or something, that could throw off your whole project. I don't like that. They both are 3D printed. They both have excellent quality in 3D printing. They both fit really well. I don't like this one for the sake of it attaching to the DeWalt base. It moves with the Z-axis. And when you have one that doesn't, you realize how superior that is. So that's my 2 cents. Both will work really well. This one is way cheaper. I think it's 30 bucks, maybe 40 bucks US. So if money is an option, there you go. But I still prefer this 100%. And they were both sent to me. So I don't know. I guess that negates the bias of which one I like better. No skin in my game either way. But the other one is what I like. So that's my dust boot collection. Let me catch up. There's a comment or two. Do I find the laser worth the investment? Let me go to the laser. So this is the laser add-on. It's made by JTech. It's about the only laser add-on for the X-Carve. It's not, or X-Carve or Shapeoko. It goes on both. And it's not made by either company. JTech is a separate entity. If you don't have a laser, this thing is awesome. It's so cool. One thing I really like about the laser is there's no clamping, there's no dust, there's no noise. All the things I hate about the CNC, the laser takes away. So it's really cool. You are not buying this for speed. It is really slow. They sell it in 3 different watts. I think the 7 watt just came out. I have the 4.2. That was the strongest one as of a few months ago. 7 watt is brand new. Still takes a really, really long time to do anything. You are not going to cut any wood. You could do like an 1/8 inch balsa wood. It will cut. It will take a really, 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 really long time. When you're seeing lasers on the internet, most people are using like a K40 Chinese laser. That's a 40 watt laser, and this is a 4 watt laser. So go into this with expectations of slow. But, however, you have a giant, if you have an XXL like me, or the 1,000 millimeter X-Carve, you have a giant workspace, as opposed to the more powerful lasers usually are really small workspaces. So that is a benefit to this. However, if you use that whole workspace, it's going to take a really long time to do anything. You're engraving with this. You're wood burning. I wish I had something to show you that I've done. Oh, I do. I'm going to take you to a different part of the shop. Excuse me. Give you an example up here. I did this with the JTech. All these lines, everything here. I think I have a video on YouTube, just a quick snippet of this burning, but I really like this. So it burns. That's what it does. Engraving. Really nice on wood. So if you want to engrave, JTech is fantastic. $500 I think is the kit for the whole set. You do have to. I have a video up on the JTech how to install it, so check that out and walk you through it. But on the corner here is the switch and all. Control board for it. I mounted it directly to my gantry. And then you have to connect it to the power board, and it has its own power plug. So it was originally a soldering deal you have to do, but I believe now he's come out with a quick press in, and you won't have to solder. So that was probably an entry. You had to solder it onto the motherboard. So if you screwed something up, you screw it all up. But I believe that's gone. And now it's just a quick pin press. You just press it in and it connects it, so you're good. Somebody mentioned my drill press, sweet drill press. It is the cheapest one at Lowe's. I don't have a Home Depot in my town, so when I first started out, it's from Lowe's. Although the board right here, that's an add-on from Woodpeckers. Not made for a small drill press like this, but I cut out a little notch and fit it on, so. That's my drill press. It's a skill. It's one of my least favorite tools in here, actually. Ron ordered one. Really nice folks. They sure are. How do you like the other blue dust boot you got last week? Not my favorite. Not because it's a bad boot. It just rides with the Z-axis, and I don't care for that. What cullet am I using right now? It's the cullet that comes with it, because anything that's a 1/4 inch is will fit into that cullet. So I think I've caught up on all of the comments. Go back a little bit. I missed a whole lot in the beginning here. Tabs. How often do I use tabs? I don't, if I don't have to. If you can design your design right to where you don't need tabs, don't put them on. You have to cut them off, and then you have to sand them, or I actually use a file to file them down. Or you can do it a bandsaw or a multi-tool, but there's always a chance where you can cut into your material and then you screw something up, so that sucks. But tabs are important to hold your material in place, but if you cut it out, as you can see in the video, I cut it out in the right way, you don't have to worry about it. So, regarding the Shapeoko sensors, worth it to upgrade to magnetic sensors? I don't know what you mean, JJ. What sensors are you talking about? Am I going to drywall my walls? No. I've been out here for 3 years, maybe? And I just now put insulation in. So this side of the shop didn't exist until last year, maybe 2 years now. I think 1 year. I added on to my barn style. You can see from right here, this wall, this little half wall used to go all the way across. Can't point backwards. And I cut that out and added on this kind of lean-to side. So it's a 20 by 16 shop. How large did you make your spoil board for the XXL? Let's measure it. Because I believe it's 31 by 31, but I'm not 100%. Let me flip it around and get a tape measure. I can tell you exactly what it is. 31 and 3/4 by 32. That is 32 long, 31 3/4 wide. I'll flip back around here. That's the size. Don't have my Shapeoko yet, but read that magnetic sensor switches were more accurate. Tech, I think. I know nothing about it. I don't know what magnetic switches are they talking about? Homing switches or limit switches? The XXL and I think the XL comes with the homing switches in part of the package, and if you don't have those, so much easier with them. It's worth the upgrade. Man, hit me up. I don't know anything about these magnetic limit switches. Hey JJ, I don't know about the magnetic limit switches. I've not run into a problem with what I have. I think it's pretty good. So send me a message to a link to what you're talking about, because I don't know. Dylan, I'm getting excited to get my Shapeoko. It's great having your videos for reference. I really appreciate you sharing what you do. That is why I do it, Dylan, because of comments like that. I really appreciate it. Next video is the cart that this is sitting on, how to build it, dimensions for it if you have the XXL like I do. It's nothing fancy, it's just functional, and that's all I cared about. And it's cheap, it's under $100 with the casters, so hope that helps. Stephanie, how's it going? I have the same machine. In the X-axis, do you have the problem with the double side strikers for the drag chain? Double-sided stickers. I think Stephanie means double-sided stickers for the drag chain. If I'm right, let me know. But if you are talking about those stickers that come, like the sticky pad, the glue things, they suck. I talked to Ed, the guy who invented it. When I first put it together, I was like, these are not sticking right. They're coming off. Am I doing it right? He's like, I have no problem with that. So what I did, and I don't know if I can show you. Oh man, I've got to get everything out of the way. So give me a second while I move this stuff so I can slide it forward and show you. So if you turn it off, you can slowly move the machine. If you do it too fast, you actually will power on the machine. I don't know if it's going to show yet. Well, okay. Well, let me show you. So, up in here, when you get your Shapeoko, it's going to say, get this sticky tape. Well, it comes with sticky tape. And put it down, and this drag chain will just sit on it. It will fall off. 100% it's going to fall off. Same thing with this drag chain back here. 100% it's going to fall off. So what I did And it comes with these holes. You see all those holes right there? I pre-drilled a hole and then got a self-tapping screw, metal screw, and screwed it in. You want to push this all the way over to make sure that you're not hitting anything, and then screw it in there. Did the exact same thing to that one back there. So I drilled a hole in both of those and got self-tapping metal screw. I took a tiny drill bit, drilled a hole, and then took a self-tapping metal screw and screwed it in. So yes, that's what I've done. I definitely had that problem, and I don't know. That's kind of like a weird design flaw. See, you can see, maybe you can see my drag chain is actually hanging back, so it's not perfect. He could have made this a little thicker, so where the drag chain sits on it, but never an issue. So hope that helps Stephanie or anybody else that is going to get this, and to prevent you from having to go through that. Ron would love to have my workshop. I'm in a small 2-bedroom apartment. Grass is always greener on somebody else's side, and here you are wanting my workshop, and here I am wanting somebody else's workshop, and I'm always yelling, my workshop is too small. So I guess I need to count my blessings. I am definitely blessed for being in where I'm at. Thanks for the spoil board file. Did you do oversized holes for the bottom? The underneath. There in the file that I have the little the underneath. Yeah, it's flip. You're looking from the bottom down. The bottom is on the top on that file. And there's an oversized hole, and then it'll stop, and then it'll drill the hole down. Do not use a down cut bit for that. Use upcut bit. Never, never, never drill holes on the CNC with a down cut bit, because a down cut bit is going to push material down, and when you're drilling down, you're pushing more and more material down. And I have seen a picture or a video on Instagram where somebody drilled with down cut bits and didn't eject the material, and it caught on fire. So upcut bit, I think you could do these holes with the bit that comes with the Shapeoko. I believe that's the size they are. So, and that's an upcut bit, so you're good with that. But yeah, it'll oversize the bottom, the big circular part on the bottom of those bolts, and then the bit that comes in the middle, you'll be good. So Stephanie, perfect. I'll do that. Thanks. You're welcome. Dylan's going bigger into a garage. That's awesome. Is there a reason my DeWalt is not pushed all the way down to the collar? So yes, there is a reason. All the way down, you can reach the original spoil board, but since I added a spoil board to the spoil board, which I definitely suggest you do, some sort of spoil board, because you can replace that one and your bottom spoil board is fine. That raised it up 3/4 of an inch, because I used 3/4 inch MDF. So I raised this up about 3/4 of an inch to offset that, because you'll lose 3/4 of cutting clearance. But that allows you to hang over the front, because if you don't have this in there, it's sitting underneath, and you don't have that hangover. And there has been times where, let's say I want to cut a really long 2x10. I've done this on a table, okay, on a kitchen table. Before I glued up all the planks to make the big tabletop, I took the middle plank and I finished it, and then I pulled the Shapeoko out away from the wall, and I hung I ran the board long ways, and I hung some of it off the edge and off the front edge, and then in the center I carved the person's last name, engraved it, and then I filled it with resin, and then I glued up all the boards. So they had a table with their name in the center. And you can do that with you can do that hanging over, but you can't do it on the sides. So, you know, if I had a bigger one, I'd just do the whole glue up, finish the tabletop, put it in the CNC, but this was wider than the arms were, so I did the one long board. So the MDF that raises it up above these metal fronts and backs, that works out really nice. And secondly, which I haven't done, but you can see that the Shapeoko will actually move so far forward, it'll hang off. It's hanging off in front of the wasteboard, the cutting area. So you could, if you wanted to, clamp a piece of wood this way. Let's imagine it's like a 2x4 or something. You could clamp it down here and go ahead and carve into the ends. I've seen some mortise and tenons done that way. You can easily clamp like this and then carve down. So that's another reason why it's moved up. Thirdly, if you're gonna do something really thick, like a 4x4, it won't fit under there with the bit. So there's no problem in raising this up as high as you can raise it. The further down it is what you want, as long as it's working with your material, because it'll be more stable. But you can move it up, and I have another video on YouTube where I show how to CNC a 4x4. So it's really thick, and you have to raise that up, and it'll cut. So that's why I have it the way it is. Hope that explains anything. All of these tips are going to save so much frustration, reducing the learning curve for anyone getting a Shapeoko. Very valuable. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. We're going on about an hour now, so I'm thinking I'm going to wrap it up. Any final questions, get them in right now. I may answer one or two more. I think I'm caught up on all the questions, and I got both projects done. So if you like this video, hit the thumbs up. I appreciate it. Subscribe. Leave a comment down below for anything else you want to see next time. And if you're going to get anything for your CNC, let me know. And if you get anything down from my links that helps support me, provide more video and more content for you guys. So I appreciate you watching. Thanks for stopping by. If you do anything on Shapeoko and you're on Facebook or Instagram, tag me. I want to see what you do. I want to know how I've helped you and how I can help you in the future. I appreciate you all very much, and we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.